Israel and Iran are on the brink, trading missile barrages and threatening all-out war, with civilians caught in the crossfire. As global leaders at the G7 summit this week call for calm, oil prices now hang in the balance, markets brace for impact. The stakes couldn't be higher, with nuclear sites targeted, top generals killed, the US warning Tehran not to escalate any further. For more, we're joined from Sydney by Professor Tim Harcourt from UTS, host of the Airport Economist channel, right here on Ticker. We've been watching over the weekend, Tim, to see how this has been changing, but it's been intensifying, with a tit-for-tat battle now underway.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it seems that Israel has managed to make some significant attacks on the nuclear sites, which was the mission of the escalation. They've also taken out some key people, the chief of staff to the military, some major nuclear scientists, and there's reports they've also taken out the Iranian head of police, who's a pretty significant figure in the regime. So it could be actually quite difficult for Iran, given that they're losing a lot of their key strategic leaders.
What do you think Israel is trying to achieve here?
Well, the Iranian regime has called for the end of Israel and ultimately the end of the USA, and they want to have nuclear capability to be able to do so. So I think, first of all, Israel wants to rid Iran of its nuclear capability, cripple its capacity to threaten their existence. So in some ways, it's a defensive war, but they're playing offense. Playing offense is the best form of defense, and that's why they're attacking, in particular, the nuclear installations.
Very much so. How close do you think we are to a full-scale war now between Israel and Iran?
Well, in some ways, it's been a war by proxy for 40 years. I mean, the October 7th, 2023 attacks on Israel by Hamas came out of Iran, the Houthis as well in Yemen, and Hezbollah in Lebanon. So in some ways, this gets it all out in the open. It's Iran attacking Israel like it always has been, and therefore Israel going straight to the source, whilst at the same time having to fight a lot of Iranians' proxies in different neighbourhoods.
We have seen that phone call between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump over the weekend, calling for hostilities to end. What role do you think the US is really playing behind the scenes here?
It's interesting because reports say that President Trump said, "You're alone, but you're not isolated," and it seems to be, in some ways, not really encouraging Israel as much as you might expect. Having said that, Putin has told the Iranian leadership that their days are numbered. So in some ways, I think he's using Putin as a bit of a go-between because of their close links with the Iranian regime, similar in the role that Russia played with the downfall of the Syrian regime.
It really is an interesting relationship, isn't it? When you have a look at Russia, they have relationships both with Israel and also with Iran.
Well, that's right. Geopolitics has always been like this, ever-shifting alliances and foes, and in some ways going to someone you might not get on with on some other issue to solve another. It's interesting. I mean, Donald Trump is so hawkish on tariffs, which really damaged the world economy. But in some ways, he holds back on strategic issues and is not as hawkish as maybe some past Democratic regimes and Republican regimes have been.
Let's talk about that meeting we're expecting this week between Anthony Albanese, the Australian Prime Minister, and Donald Trump. Albanese has been trying to get this one sorted for quite some time. There's a lot to discuss, obviously including AUKUS and a difference of opinion in military spending from Australia. What do you think?
There's been a bit of cat and mouse in this, hasn't there? And I just saw this tweet from President Trump calling him Airbus Albanese and all sorts of comments. So you wouldn't really see the dignity of the presidential office ever engage in this stuff, but we've sort of got used to his style. Look, I think it's basically to encourage Australia to make a contribution to the defence of the West, as Israel's doing as we speak. and they're in some ways using AUKUS and also the steel tariffs as part of a negotiation tactic. Now, I understand that there's negotiation tactics and this is the sort of style of the administration, but geopolitics is not the same stakes as selling property in Manhattan. So I still think they have to really tread carefully in this. But in some ways, Prime Minister Albanesei is playing a smart role. He's not inflaming the situation. He's not been anti-Trump in rhetoric like some of the other leaders have been, and certainly, a lot of his counterparts have been in other countries. He's played it pretty cool because at the end of the day, he knows there's a lot of goodwill towards Australia from the United States, no matter who's in power. And defence-wise, we need the relationship.
Professor Tim Harcourt, always appreciate your insights. Thanks for dropping by.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it.